This is Dan of Vagabond Awake. Today I'm interviewing a 71-year-old Western man who lives in a small town in the provinces of the Philippines. He's decided to be interviewed in voice only so he can share his story with you without losing his anonymity in this small town. Welcome to Vagabond Awake, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
So, how long have you been living in the Philippines altogether, would you say?
Uh, 6 years now. I came here in 2018.
Wow. And what's your home country?
United States.
Great. And would you say you're retired and living on a pension, Joe, in the Philippines?
Yes, I'm living on my Social Security pension only.
That's great. So are you living alone or have you found love over there?
No, I'm living with my girlfriend right now. I've had 4 girlfriends actually during the last 6 years that I've lived with.
Wow. And
each story quite unique.
and how did you meet each of them? Was it online or in person? Or
I met 2 of them online and I met 2 of them in person. Yeah. And the online thing was actually my initial way for meeting women when I first got here.
And would you say it's easier or harder to find love there maybe than your home country?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, depends on what you mean by love and how deep. Because I really think that, trust is really one of the main issues as far as in the relationship here. So if it's easy to find trust, initially, I would say no. It's not easy to find trust. It's easy to find attraction. It's easy to find, good times and certainly sex and all that other. But when it comes to deeper levels in relationship, like really developing what would be maybe more considered like, a best friend, when you really are in love, this person, you can trust your life with that person, and that person you've dedicated. In other words, I know a lot of expats over here that have been burned so badly, it's terrible. I know a bunch of them that are doing quite well and are quite happy in long-term loving relationships. So I don't know their story, but I can just tell you that my experience is trust is one of the main things that I'm after, but I don't expect it right off the bat because I need to prove that I'm trustworthy and she needs to prove that she's trustworthy. And there's only one way to do that, and that's spend time and go through actually even, I wouldn't call it testing, but at the same time, believe me, these Filipino, they are extremely jealous. Jealousy to cultivate trust so that the fear goes away and then love can really come in and grow. Go ahead.
So Joe, what is your rent there? And is the place Western standards or more local where you're staying?
Where I'm staying right now is more local standards. Cinder block house, 2 bedrooms, dining room, kitchen, and a sheet metal roof. No screens on the windows. But the rent, I've lived in various other places before. The rent here is like, $48 US a month. So what do you want? I mean, I'm going back to when I was in the late 60s, early 70s. You'd have a hard time, I mean, not a hard time, but $50 a month was a lot. Even then, I remember it was $100 a month, $70 a month was most of the places that we were renting where I lived in Florida. At any rate, the rent here is ridiculously cheap.
No, how far do you live from like a city or tourist area? You live in the province, so you probably have cheaper rents for that reasons. A lot of expats aren't willing to live like in a more rural area like that. No, that's true.
Where I live, it's about 10 miles to the closest mall. Now you go to a mall and then you've got an upstairs and a downstairs. You've got a whole range of different things you can buy. The area also has like 3 or 4 reasonably well-equipped hardware stores, a lot of bakeries, lechon. Then, of course, there's another area that's touristed, and I'm about maybe 15 miles away from that, 12 to 15 miles away from that.
Starting with a place that's more local standards, Have you done any like carpentry or plumbing to bring it up to your liking?
By far, yeah. When I was a kid, I used to frame houses. So I learned how to use a saw and a hammer and everything, how to cut and fit wood. And yeah, you'll find over here like bamboo is your best friend, which grows easily everywhere. And if you walk along the beach, you can find lots of seasoned bamboo. Then, of course, there's beautiful hardwoods all over the place. Being retired, it also gives me something to do, which is interesting.
Absolutely. So I understand that you're also interested in homesteading. That's one of the things that caught my eye about your life. And if so, how does that affect your daily life in the Philippines?
Now I've got 3 pigs, 6 ducks, a couple of hens in the beginnings. You know, we've got animals that we're raising here. That's what homesteading is about. So essentially, you're getting high quality meat for free. Homesteading is kind of about raising your own food.
Your rent's incredible. What are you paying for other things like groceries, electric, cell phone, transportation, entertainment, anything else that comes to mind?
You know, it varies because sometimes we take the ferry and go to other places. I've got a 4-wheel drive and I got a motorbike. Motorbikes are cheap and the gas is cheap. So you use that to get around. I use the 4-wheel drive to go up and over the mountain, to take that onto the mainland, which is a larger island, bigger than this one. And that eats a lot more gas. Budget probably for my gas per month is maybe about 80 to $100. Food is about $20 a day. And that's eating like a lot of beef. We don't eat out a whole lot, but we eat really good. Chicken, a lot of fresh fish. They sell fresh fish here like the popsicle trucks back in the States. You got little wagons going by your house all day selling fresh fish, and it's cheap. You know, you get tuna fish here for $5 a pound. I mean, I got a pressure cooker, we just bought a coconut grinder. You can buy coconuts here for like 5 pesos each, which is 10 cents. But now we got access to coconut milk. And oh my God, if you like Thai food, like I do, then you can make your own Thai curry. You can make your own beef stroganoff if you're willing to like take coconut and ferment it into yogurt. I personally like a Mediterranean diet, which is a lot of oregano, garlic, onions, tomatoes, and that goes really well. I like it. I got a Dutch oven. I mailed myself a Dutch oven from the United States. And if you get onto these cowboy channels, they teach, it's all chuck wagon cooking. You use a Dutch oven to make the most incredible buttermilk biscuits with eggs and cornbread. I'm an Eagle Scout. And when I was a young kid, I watched all the Westerns. And I read, you know, it's kind of like you go back to the basics. It's challenging, but at the same time, it's like, it's really rewarding. You know, if you want to sit back and be 5-star all the time, great. But I hear a lot of those people are bored out of their minds. I hear a lot of wealthy people are not really happy living in gated communities.
So groceries you mentioned. What's your electric bill, cell phone, entertainment? You already mentioned what your truck costs you, but what are some of your other expenses?
Electric bill is around 1,200 pesos a month because we don't have air conditioning. I call it aircon here. We do. I live with a fan because I have the kind of body that can handle heat. Like we've just gone through a heat wave. Plus, I'm a diver. So if I want to, I'll spend all day in the ocean with a wetsuit on. And I'm a free diver. So I've gone to a school and I'm a certified level 1 free diver. And I'm a scuba diver too. And that's the other thing. There's a lot of clear water here. To get into expenses, my hobbies are relatively free. I'm a guitar player and a singer. And I sing in restaurants, pick up tips and, you know, make 1,000 pesos here and there, get free food, get drinks from me and my girlfriend, meet all kinds of people, learn the American songbook. You don't need to have you really don't need a lot of money.
You sound like a Renaissance man. You're involved with your own food production, entertaining people, integrated in with your community. It sounds like a fascinating life you're living. So what would you say, just to give people an idea, like what's an example of an average month maybe that you're all in?
Probably like $1,000.
$1,000. And you're living, it sounds like you're living your dreams.
Well, the The only hard part is being separated from my kids. But other than that, yes. I think I've always been a tropical kid. I was raised in Florida, but I've been all over the United States, New Mexico, North Carolina, California. Living in the tropics has always been, yeah, somewhat. I mean, I've always been drawn to this particular, between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer. Right now, I'm on Facebook a lot with a lot of the kids that I grew up with. Like we've got, we're reminiscing about high school days. And I mean, I interject things like, what was your favorite candy bar growing up? And I mean, I've gotten hundreds of responses because we were like, we didn't have any money in the 60s. If you were a kid, I was an Army brat, you were lucky if you got a quarter a month, maybe for an allowance. So we had to go out and scrounge everything, but penny candies. So it was like you live in your imagination. And that's what I do a lot now. I live in my imagination now. I mean, I sustain myself, but I also meditate. I get up 4 o'clock in the morning most days. I do breath work. You reach levels of calm within yourself to where your mind starts flooding with all of your old memories. Like the old boys club days when I was 12 years old. Man, I was so excited back then. I'm an older guy. I get excited. And as a result of that, the heart starts pumping, the brain starts working. All these, and this is what Joe Dispenza teaches, you have a plethora of beneficial chemicals in your body that you cannot buy at Big Pharma. If you want to heal yourself, stay away from the drugs. Big Pharma is making a lot of money, and that's that whole paradigm. But there's a new paradigm, I think, coming in and there's a lot of people online like yourself trying to teach us how to live longer, how to stay healthier, how to be in a healthier relationship. They're not really in touch with themselves. This is more about getting in touch with who you are, which gets me into another area. Like I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and that happened to me 4 years ago, 2020. And I never went the allopathic route because they wanted to cut my prostate out. And I knew immediately, I'd already had friends did that. When you cut your prostate out, you lose a lot of your sexual ability. You have incontinence. You really start going downhill. Well, I chose not to do that. I started meditating. I started following Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's extremely well known online, teaching people how to heal themselves. He healed himself from a supercritical bike accident that had him in a wheelchair. And he's now got a huge following. He's got thousands of followers, tons of people that have cured themselves of cancer, quadriplegics that can now walk, blind people that can now see. So as a result of the internet, which I have strong internet in this house, I have a fiber optic Wi-Fi, and it only costs me like $20, $25 a month. I have access to all these great minds. And I'll tell you, the new way to educate yourself is people like yourself, Dan. If I want to learn something, I'll tune into your channel. I'll tell you, gratitude is something that I've developed a lot. I am extremely grateful for people like you because you bring the world to the world via the internet. All we got to do is plug into you. I'm excited about my life too because there's a lot that you can do here in the Philippines that you can't do back home because it gets cold. Here it stays warm all year long. Coconuts is your best friend. Bamboo is your best friend. Hammocks, they're your best friend. Anytime I want to be oceanfront, just go to the beach and put up a hammock. I know a lot of older retired guys that are pretty sad, living in a trailer park somewhere on the kind of same salary that I'm living, driving Uber all day, coming home tired at night to a TV dinner and television. That's
Hallelujah.
it. That's all they got going,
true.
Because they don't have, and they do have. The one thing that you got to be willing to do is step out of your comfort zone to come to a place like this. If it is in your interest, you set your goal. I became a minimalist. I follow a lot of minimalist bloggers. It's like being a teenager all over again.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But doing it this way is a better way to do it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the geo arbitrage where you're somewhere where your rent's so low. Your friends living in trailers back home, they might have $500-600 rent if they don't own that trailer, and even if they own the trailer, They may not own the land under it. So and then you have land around you to do stuff with. It's really a big difference.
And if you live in the provinces, you're living with people that I'm talking about, like if they make $5-6 a day, that can be a lot. A lot of them are living on less than that. My girlfriend has a lot of friends that want to have an expat boyfriend like me for the obvious reasons, which is again about the money. But along those lines, finding and developing real friends, I have done that. And again, you cultivate that. You cultivate everything. It's like you're trying to be sincere and really from the heart. Like you don't bring them gifts just because you want their favors. You're really coming at them. Like if I really wanted to get to know you as a man, Dan, if I really wanted to get to know you and you were my neighbor, I have to do more than just, you and I got to sit down. We got to be able to relate. We have to have that inner camaraderie. That's like, it's an intangible, but you cultivate it. Because if I'm attracted to you as a friend, I'm going to say, hey, Dan, let's go diving, let's go fishing, let's go hiking. We're going to start hanging out together. I don't drink. I used to, but I don't. I know a lot of guys go to the bar, but I think they're hiding. When you get yourself drunk, I mean, what are you doing? You're clouding your mind with something that's taking away your insecurity, your feeling of unworthiness. I'm getting into psychology here, but I know as an American, we've got a lot of that going on. We've got a nation full of people that are extremely insecure. And deep down, we've got this political war going on, but somehow there's no gratitude, like just being grateful. No, it's like we're thinking these presidents are going to help us. Dude, wake up. When was the last time a president ever really helped you? They don't. And I'm from the Vietnam era. They lied to us. I lost friends. I'm an Army brat. That whole military world, you get lied to all over the place. You have to cultivate your relationships here. You do. But initially, yeah, you're going to have a lot of people very polite, very humble, and very likable. So it's a great place for that. Philippines is very well known for having a humble, nice bunch of people. You don't have a lot of road rage.
Yeah.
Even though people drive like hell here, you can develop a very, very good, strong relationship of attraction with a young, beautiful woman here so much easier than you ever could be. It'd be impossible in the States. For me, I've had 23-year-old woman live with me, and I lived with her for 1.5 years. And during that time, I would say that, the attraction was very strong. Now, whether or not it's 100% and all like that, I don't, you don't know. But that relationship didn't work out because the trust level was an issue. It's always been the trust level has been the issue. Don't matter what age the woman is. Once she's come of age, 23, 24, she's a young woman. Are you going to give her respect? Are you going to develop trust? If you do, look out, because she's going to respond in kind. She's not getting that from the local Filipino. So many local Filipinos will drop their girlfriends and go to another girlfriend. And I think a lot of expats do that too. So understand that they don't trust you because they've been burned. No matter how attractive they are, beautiful women all over the world get burned all the time just because they don't have, they haven't developed trust in the relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. That's trust. I agree 100% with that. That's really what it's about. So
it's about attraction though, too. You
Yeah.
want to fire it up. You want your woman looking good and you want her to look good, but it ain't about the looks in the end of the game. But you definitely can have a lot of fun with women here. There's no doubt. It's easy to do. And there's a lot of wisdom around the idea that happiness is not something to chase. what you really want is peace.
Mm.
You want peace of mind. How calm is your heart? How good is your breathing? You know, when you
Yeah.
wake up in the morning, what is the first thought you have? You know, am I grateful? Yes. Am I happy? Yes and no. But grateful, I really strive more towards gratitude than happiness, because maybe it's a foundation for happiness. It's just like love is founded on trust and respect. I think happiness may be founded on gratitude, self-forgiveness. Like how pissed off do you get at yourself or your neighbor or your dog? That's a real good indication of what's going on deep down inside of you. So that's something you got to work on, you know. And again, I think we're here on this planet to work on ourselves before we die, because it's the idea that we don't die when we die, we're going on. You know, I can't prove it, but there's a lot of reasons not to be watching Netflix every night. You know, get into philosophy, learn a little bit about the history of the world, the history of your country, the history of your family. How much are you getting in touch with your family? How many times a day do you tell somebody you love them and mean it? And how many times a day do they tell you that they love you? My girlfriend tells me she loves me so many times every day. It blows my mind, you know. So I feel really blessed.
Yeah, I think the two things I get out of my conversation with you that really come through strong is curiosity and gratitude. I think that really what sets you apart from most men our age, and that's why you're so alive, and so remaining interested in learning more, despite, you know, once some people get to our age, they think they know everything. They're not really curious anymore. And without that curiosity, it's hard to feel like you're a kid every day. So, Joe, I really want to thank you for coming on the channel and sharing your story. I think it's a remarkable story, and I just really appreciate how you're living every day of your life like it mattered, and you're going in all directions at once. Takes a lot of energy, and you're eating right, and sounds like you've got a lot there that's keeping you curious and to be grateful for. So thanks so much, Joe. I really appreciate you coming on the channel. Could you please help me with something? You've probably watched our guest star interviews on our guest star playlist. I interview people that have retired overseas. They share valuable information such as cost of living, safety concerns, finding love overseas, healthcare experiences, and money problems. If you'd like to share something that you have learned living overseas, please come to vagabondbuddha.com, click the More tab, click the Contact Me tab, and tell me about what you would like to share with my channel.